New champions, new injuries, and a new absence on the WWE roster. It's all about the Summerslam Night 1 Fallout. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. Let's get into this. Night 1 last night was a bit of a disaster. It was one of the worst SummerSlams I've ever seen. I'd probably go as far as saying it was the worst SummerSlam that I've ever seen. And I think this is going to be the new norm. Same with WrestleMania. You got one nights now, two nights now. You're just diluting it. You're the potential for night 1 to be good is only going to be at 50%. As good as night 1 can possibly be, it could be double as good if it was just the one night. So for me, with these night 1 premium live events, 2 nights, whatever, I think that we're going to see a much weaker product, a much more watered down product, a much more limited product. And that's normal. That's to be expected. I mean, imagine the Super Bowl. Imagine if they cut the Super Bowl in half and you had to tune in the next night to see the game 2 or something like that or whatever, or the second half. Or if the 4 quarters were shown over 4 different nights. So you had Super Bowl night 1, Super Bowl night 2, Super Bowl night 3. That would suck because you're not getting the full experience. You're not coming to a conclusion as to who wins the game. And make no mistake about it, the conclusion going into SummerSlam was, is John Cena going to come out the champion? That's what we all care about. That's what we all want to know. But we don't know that until night 2. So it is a disaster. You're sitting here twiddling your thumbs, wanting to find out what's going to happen with Cena, and you have to wait an extra 24 hours. So for me, that absolutely sucks. But let's get into it. Let's talk about the Seth Rollins news, first of all, and the injury, or is it even an injury at this point? Nobody really knows. Mike Johnson of PW Insider said the following about the mystery surrounding the legitimacy of Seth Rollins' injury. They said, quote, "At WWE Saturday Night's main event, they treated Seth Rollins' injury as an injury. He did go to Birmingham, Alabama. If Rollins' injury was a work all along, very few people were in on it, and the company also worked the talent and employees. Rollins would have worked his students. That is a slippery slope. If you start working the talent, if that is what they did, it can definitely create mistrust." End of quote. Look, I don't really care about the mistrust aspect. If the talent get worked, then so be it. I mean, at this point in wrestling, you kind of have to work the talent because of social media in this new age, this new era. You can't even trust people. So if they did have something like this planned, if you tell the roster, you just know it's going to get leaked anyway. So
why no? But why do the roster need to know?
Yeah, they don't.
See the people that are involved in it. Tell them.
It's not like McMahon told the whole roster, we're going to go screw Bret Hart tonight at Survivor Series, you know? You don't do that shit. But I still don't think this was a plan all along. If they wanted to go down an injury route, I think the Seth Rollins match would have just ended in a no contest, or he wouldn't have had the match, or something. He would have got counted out. I refuse to believe that the plan was to put LA Knight over Seth Rollins via an injury all along, because it's led to absolutely nothing. If that was their plan, they could have killed, two birds, one stone, so to speak. They could have took Seth Rollins out injured and had this whole injury kayfabe storyline, while also, elevating LA Knight with a massive win over Rollins. LA Knight has done absolutely nothing since that. So it's very similar to the R-Truth thing. Oh, look, it was their plan all along, but did they bring R-Truth back and his R-Truth benefited? No, he cut his hair and disappeared. So for me, I still think that injury was legit, and it's just turned out the injury wasn't as bad as they initially thought.
Yeah, if they actually pushed LA Knight to the moon off the back of that victory against Rollins and then brought him back like they did last night, I would sit here and say, well, you know what, fair play. But the reality is, a work has to be a work, right? It can't be something unscripted that happens, then you turn it into a work. There's a fucking difference, man. You can't turn around and say that. That's moving the goalposts. See LA Knight, I don't even know where he is. I mean, the only time you seen him last night was during a Slim Jim ad with Jey Uso. If it was a work for the get-go, they would have had that match play out exactly the way it did. LA Knight would win.
And he can't even go on a 2-night SummerSlam card.
Yeah, and then they would use the momentum to carry over.
To take him into SummerSlam.
Yeah.
But right now, and who is he feuding with? Was he not feuding with someone on SmackDown? Was it not Drew McIntyre or something like that? Or
I can't even remember who he was feuding with. I mean, he lost like the US title, didn't he?
Either way, right, there should be room for LA Knight on this SummerSlam card, and for whatever reason there's not. Right, I've got a little bit of news about Bron Breaker. Dave Meltzer said the following regarding his injury. He said, quote, Bron Breaker was limping really bad going to the back, and it was taped up a lot. My presumption was that they are going to join in killing CM Punk, and they just let Seth Rollins do it. He could have walked on it, but it's not like he ran in or anything like that or got involved in that finish. I just haven't heard that, but I'm sure it was a legitimate injury, unlike the Seth Rollins injury, which was not a legitimate injury, obviously. End of quote. Doesn't mean shit. I mean, Meltzer's making assumptions here, saying that the Rollins injury isn't in it. Here, see this injury that Bron Breaker's got? I think it's legit, right? There's no reason for it not to be legit, but he could be fine in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen football, or American football, or sports, or tennis even? People will retire, or people will get substituted, or the game will get stopped early, but in a couple of weeks are fine. But they stop early because they know that if they continue, there is a potential chance of risking further injury. And that could just be what we had with Seth Rollins, and that could be something similar with Bron Breaker. Maybe Bron Breaker could have just twisted something, sprained something, and they're saying, oh, you're going to be alright, but we recommend that you rest up for a couple of weeks. Could be something like that, and that could be the same thing that happened with Seth Rollins.
We live in this fucking era, man, where all these retards that watch the product think they're in on stuff. Like, every single thing that happens has to be a work, has to be this, has to be that. And there's also just an element of, trying to protect Triple H, trying to protect the company. Everything's great, everything's meant, everything's done on purpose.
There's nothing to suggest that Seth Rollins didn't actually get right. He didn't feel the pain. He didn't have a legit injury or whatnot. He felt like there was something wrong, and that's why they did that abrupt ending to the match. And then it turns out after he got to the back, they've checked it out, and it turns out here it's nothing serious. It's only like a light sprain or whatnot. And then that might have gave them the idea, well, here, people think you're going to be it for a long time, so why don't we have you cash in at SummerSlam? So you can come up with the cash-in idea out of, a potential injury, but I still don't believe that the idea going into that LA Night was, here, you're going to lose due to an injury, so you can cash in. I just don't think they'd do that. I don't think they'd have Seth Rollins lose like that, and I don't think they'd have LA Knight win like that and not have him gain anything from it. Because he's gained absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion on that. Do you agree, disagree?
Yeah, but Rollins was in was in a feud with LA Knight. So why not? Why not have Rollins cash in on Punk and to actually well, that's what they did, but then to spice up their feud. Why can't the next pay-per-view or the night or on Monday? Why can't it be Rollins versus Punk versus LA Knight versus Gunther? Fatal 4-way match.
Because Gunther, I think, is taking time off. We'll get into that in a minute. But listen,
I will settle for it then.
Meltzer's saying that the Bron Breaker injury is legit and the Seth Rollins one wasn't. So does that mean if Bron Breaker gets back in the ring at the beginning of September, roughly the same time Rollins was out, does that mean that the Bron Breaker injury wasn't legit then? Or was it just a minor injury and he's healed from it?
That could be it.
Meltzer, use your brain, Meltzer.
We live in this world, man, where people think to have an injury, you have to be out for 9 months.
Yeah, an injury can last a couple of weeks, so it's not...
But because wrestling, it's predetermined, you can work around injuries.
Yeah, Alvarez has also gave an update, Brian Alvarez, on the injury of Bron Breaker. He said, quote, he was out there for the main event. He had his leg all taped up. I don't get any sort of update, but it usually takes a day or so for them to get looked at. End of quote. So, I mean, yeah, his update is essentially that we don't really have an update, and maybe within a day or two they'll give us a bit more information on Bron Breaker. But listen, it could be similar to Seth Rollins, where he pulls a strain on his leg and he feels slightly better in 3 weeks and he gets back in the ring. An injury doesn't need to keep you at the ring for 6 months, 9 months. An injury can keep you at the ring for a lot less time than that. Even if you look at Cena returning at the Rumble, if we go down the route that was a legit injury, and I think it was, people are saying it was to do with the whole suspension thing and all that, but Cena was supposed to be out for 8 months and he came back in 3, so it just goes to show you that, people can come back a lot sooner than they're expected to do. So, again, you can't really determine whether this is fake or whether it's not. I still don't think the Seth Rollins injury is I don't think it was fake. I think it was a legit injury, and it just turns out it wasn't as serious as they initially thought. Right, regarding SummerSlam and Gunther, Meltzer said the following: Gunther is apparently going to undergo surgery. So, yeah, he said Gunther, quote, I was told Gunther's surgery on his nose. I was told a couple of days ago, and it's very clear from watching the finish that Gunther's having surgery on his nose pretty quick. End of quote. So, Gunther apparently, I don't know what, he's got a sore nose. He was supposedly going to have surgery on his nose before the event, and now he's getting a surgery on his nose after. Is that what led to him being busted open? We didn't really see what caused all the blood, to be fair. So maybe it was something to do with his nose. Maybe he got his nose busted open. But Meltzer says that the nose thing was 100% worked, blood, and planned. So maybe it's not. Maybe it wasn't legitimately getting busted open. But I don't know. What is the issue with Gunther's nose? Is he struggling to breathe or something like that? Not entirely sure. I think we'll have to wait and see. What else have we got? Drew McIntyre put out on Twitter, he said, quote, Logan Paul did a hell of a job tonight. What a stud. I'm thinking of starting a stable with all these social media dons. Drewski, Mr. Beast, KSI, I Show Speed. It would be like the Ministry of Darkness, except in 2025 and not god-awful. End of quote. Drew McIntyre taking a shot here at the Ministry of Darkness. Don't know why, because, I mean, let's be honest, Ministry of Darkness had The Undertaker in it, and The Undertaker clears anything that we've got today in professional wrestling. And according to tonight's finish with John Cena and Cody Rhodes, Paul Levesque has been hyping up tonight's plans. He said, quote, you ain't seen nothing yet, end of quote. Regarding Cena and Cody Rhodes, suggesting that we're going to get some big, maybe screwy finish, a big surprise in tonight's match, which I think is disappointing. I mean, I'm all for surprises, but I think WWE overdo it these days. Why can't we just have a good actual wrestling match, you know? Can we not have a good wrestling match without like 10 million people running in without all these surprises? I'm not saying never do it, but I think with WWE and their title pictures, they certainly overdo it. They overbook things now. I mean, look at Cena, CM Punk. A lot of people just wanted to see CM Punk Cena for the last time, have one last good match, since it is, you know, the final time we're going to get to see it. And they just water it down with shite like Penta and Bron Breaker and Bronson Reed and Jey Uso, all these guys running it. So, yeah, for me, WWE, they overdo it now. I think with the finishes, it's too over the top now. And I think they do it to try and make up for the lackluster matches. I think they believe that the wrestling matches aren't that good now, so they need to try and make up for it by having a million people do a run-in, and that'll somehow make the match better. So, we'll see. And what else have we got? Apparently there was fans. Yes, CM Punk fans fighting with Seth Rollins fans apparently outside the arena. A lot of people unhappy. I can't believe we've got grown men potentially throwing fists over who won a match and whatnot. Just absolute soy boys. Get the fuck over it. Wrestling's fake and it's crap. It's not worth fighting over. Not worth potentially getting arrested over. Just a bit of a joke if you ask me. But anyway guys, that is it there for your SummerSlam fallout from night one. We'll be back tonight. Well, I won't be back tonight. I'm working. I've got the night shift. But Big Stevie Cool will be back. And yeah, fuck me. Just almost choked on something. But yeah, back tomorrow. We'll do a night 2 fallout. And then also tomorrow, we've got 25 reasons why Hulk Hogan rules. And I am looking forward to that one, guys. So yeah, catch you then. Till next time. Peace.